they have ST elevation. So you look at the ST segment here, stays here. When you get it 30% of what the baseline is, see how high it is right here? And then you'll end up what they call tombstones. That's exactly what they call them on an EKG strip. So that's why I got the rest of the piece over here. Because that's telling you that's tissue death. When you see that on a patient, that's very bad. Now the thing about it is, what's neat about this whole thing is you can see that on a patient. You know tissue is dying. If you give thrombolytics, you're going to see that go back to this. That's exactly what happens to it. But that's what you want to see happening with a patient. But this one is going to be with acute MI. So you put that up there. This is a patient who has an acute MI. Necrosis means tissue death. And when you hear people saying the patient had a STEMI, all they're saying is they had ST elevation MI. That's what STEMI is for. When you hear people say that, that's all it means. They had an ST elevation MI. If you don't have that, it's a non-STEMI. So a patient can have a heart attack, what we call Q waves. And so that's the non-STEMI. That's the person that doesn't get thrombolytics. This one does, if you're within that window of time. So that's why it makes a difference to do the EKG sooner than later. So now this person has unstable angina. The first time they come in the hospital, they have chest pain. Okay, we already know what drugs, you already told me oxygen you're going to put on the patient. What other drugs might I give them?
Morphine?
Morphine is one we can give. When do you think we're going to use morphine?
For pain? To decrease contractility.
It's going to decrease contractility, going to relax the patient. But why would we use morphine as opposed to one of the other ones? What do we usually give them in that little brown bottle?
The nitroglycerin.
Nitroglycerin.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we use morphine because it's fast acting?
Morphine is fast acting, but you usually see morphine given not first. It's usually going to be given to you. We always start with nitro, but if you got a person who has a really low blood pressure, I can't give nitroglycerin. Because guess what it does? It ups your blood pressure more, which is going to raise your heart rate, which is going to actually tax your heart more. So if your blood pressure is really low, morphine is a drug of choice. Small amounts. It's not like you're trying to relieve a whole lot of pain. A person could tell you that somebody's sitting on your chest, kind of thing. But the thing about it is I want to give you just enough to relieve the pain. Morphine also helps with vasodilatation, but it doesn't drop the blood pressure as much. Okay, so nitrates first, which is nitroglycerin, sublingual, is what you're usually going to see first. Okay, remember, if a person has chest pain at home and it has a history, that's a different thing. This is the very first time a person comes to the hospital. You have to understand how this whole diagnosis of stable angina happens. But they go through this first. Okay. So nitrates are going to be given because it vasodilates. So that's going to actually open the coronaries to improve perfusion, decrease pain. You should have them sit down because activity was causing this problem. If you sit down, it's going to decrease myocardial oxygen and it's going to get better. Provide oxygen for the patient because that can move tissue. Move oxygen around, tissue is going to be fed, patient's going to get better. So that's what we do initially. Then it becomes, I'm going to diagnose what's going on with this person. Because that becomes, now this person is in the hospital, they're still going to do all the lab work like the person had a heart attack. Because I need to figure out that's what's going on. So the EKG helps me, but then I'm also going to look at troponins, CPKs, myoglobin, things that tell me that the heart has been damaged. Okay, so that's what, the first workup is always going to have that. Then the person may go to cath lab, and we figure out where in the coronaries they have the blockage. Always look at BUN and creatinine because you're giving dye. And you always ask them about glucophage because remember that helps the dye stay in the kidneys longer.
Oh my God, I got that wrong.
All right. That's one of those things you ask them about. All right. You ask them about allergies to shellfish, that kind of stuff, because contrast dyes can do that. So you want to make sure you kind of understand that whole process. But if you have a person who has a high BUN creatinine, patient may still go to cath lab, but you have to worry about dye can kill off your kidneys. That's what you worry about with those patients. Yeah. There's a big issue with metformin.
Okay.
That's the same thing. It's glucophage and metformin is the same drug. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. It's what it does is makes contrast dye stay in your kidneys longer, Therefore, you put the patient at risk for intrarenal renal failure because it stays there longer. What you have to do is give them fluids, and you have to give them Mucomyst. Stuff we use for respiratory thing, but you make them drink it. And what it does help, it helps them pass it faster. So you encourage fluids, give them Mucomyst, and you know, don't give them in the whole cup, because that's just mean. Patients tell you it tastes like sulfur. So you don't want people trying to drink 250 mL of sulfur. You put it in a little shot thing, you know, a little 15 cc, because you only need to give them 3 cc's. Put 10 cc's of some kind of strong drink, and then have them do it as a shot, and then drink fluids afterwards. But this is what the kind of thing you want to do for that person. So first we're going to give them, you always put them on oxygen. Remember I told you those 4 things you always do for a patient. Give them nitro only if their blood pressure is okay. All right, because if I drop their blood pressure too low, taxes my heart more, because if you drop your blood pressure, your body responds by raising, drop your blood pressure, it responds by raising your pulse rate, which means it's going to make you tachycardic, which actually increases your myocardial oxygen demand. So that's what you worry about with patients. We can give morphine if their blood pressure is too low, and we usually give like 1 to 2 milligrams depending on what's going on with the patient. You monitor their response, that kind of thing, and see what's going on. And then it becomes, we need to look at what's happening with you. So that's when the patient's going to go for cath, and that's usually what, because cardiac cath is something that I can do for the patient, not only to see what's wrong, meaning diagnostic, but I can also do treatment. Because remember, while I'm in there, I may do a PTCA on the patient, open up a balloon in the artery, put in a stent, those types of things. So cardiac cath can be diagnostic, and it can also be what we call therapeutic. Yeah. Normally they don't get anything before they go down. It's sometimes what you'll see if you have a patient who is an emergent cath kind of thing, you may see a doctor give the patient Plavix. You know, it's an antiplatelet drug. You mean like for sleep and stuff, they do that in the cath lab. So they may give fentanyl, that kind of stuff, or Versed, that kind of stuff in the cath lab.
Yeah, what was that?
No, you need to be concerned about metformin. That's the major thing, because that makes the contrast dye stay there longer. And you need to look at their beta creatinine results, because that already puts them at risk for developing renal failure.
I had been, but the question says, what is one of the medication that the patient would be on? And then what would be the lab you would look at?
It was 2 different things, to look at lab, and then what medication would you be concerned about?
No, it didn't say concern about it. It says what medication the patient would be on.
Yeah.
So I put like a heart, an ACE inhibitor or something. No.
The question said, what medication would the patient be on?
No,
That you would be concerned about.
Oh, I didn't see that.
All right. The only time you have to, I mean, you would be concerned about ACE inhibitor only if a patient had acute renal failure, because when a patient has acute renal failure, ACE inhibitors actually raise your potassium even more. Okay, so if a patient goes to cardiac cath, they'll go down, they don't get stuff ahead of time usually, unless it's a emergent case. Sometimes what you think about, if this person, you think they're having a heart attack, what is that usually? Thrombus. Or the plaque breaking off, that kind of thing. That's why they get Plavix. You may see a person get 300 milligrams of Plavix. And you know, if you think about normal dose of Plavix is 75. So that's the person that's chewing 4 Plavix pills. You've never seen it, nobody's going to take a pill and swallow it. For these procedures, you're going to chew it. And reason you do that is because it releases into the bloodstream quicker, stop platelet aggregation so you're not making this clot get bigger, which means more of my heart is damaged. So that's why you hear the commercial about Bayer aspirin and all that kind of stuff. Chew 2 aspirin on your way to the hospital. That's the reason you do that. Not swallow them, you need to chew them, because you need to stop the platelets from coming together. Anytime you see this whole thing about the intima, which is going to have this plaque formation happening there, your body feels like it's injured. So more things are going to come there to try to stop this from happening, which is usually platelets. So that's why you get platelet aggregation there. So that means they're coming together, they form a clot, which could actually block off this whole thing. Okay, so that's the issue that you worry about. Anytime you see injury, that's what your body sees it as just that. I need to come fix it. So that's why those things are happening with patients. So you go through all of that, they figure out, oh my goodness, you have left main disease, or you have right main disease, and all that. When you hear people saying that, they're talking about which coronary artery is affected. because the heart has to feed itself during diastole. The heart relaxes, kind of thing. But one of those things that happens when you're thinking about this particular thing is that when you talk about, and you'll get this more when you go to MP4, is that there are places in the heart that are going to be affected by where the coronaries come off of. And you may have heard people talk about which artery is going to be affected in the patient, or which one is the worst. The left anterior descending takes out the most. That's why they call it the widowmaker. When you see people talk about LAD disease, or you hear that in report, that's the one that takes out part of the right atrium, the right and the left ventricle. And so that takes out most of the heart when we talk about the pumping force. So that's why LAD occlusions are treated like, oh my God, I need to take care of this. Not that the other ones aren't important, but if I want to get rid of most of the pumping force of your heart, take out the LAD. That's why they call it the widowmaker. So usually when you see people have LAD disease, those are people that we want to make sure we do something about. That's never going to be a person you say, oh, we just treat you medically. Because those people drop dead.
What do they call it?
The widowmaker.
Widowmaker, oh.
Yeah. Because it happens more in men. So that's why they say it that way. Sorry guys, but that's just it. So once we find out this person has been treated, we know now they have coronary artery disease because we see that when they go to cath. Because one of the things you find out when you do a cath report is they tell you patient has left main, left anterior descending, right main, and they'll tell you where it is in the RCA, the marginals, all that. That's what they're talking about when they give you a report. You just look at like whatever. Okay. But when you read your cardiac cath report, they tell you every single vessel that has disease and whether or not they did anything to it. Okay. So they may have done a PTCA, which is percutaneous transluminal angioplasty. That's the long name for it. Yeah, you have to write all that out on the consent form. Okay, because doctor just says, get a consent for a PTCA with stent placement. But you have to write all that percutaneous transluminal angioplasty. All that means they're going to go in the groin, or they can use the arm. They can use either of those. And they're going to go up through the arterial system, find it, put in contrast dye to see where the blockage is. They see it, okay, I'm going to try to go through it. Yes, they go through it, and then they're going to open it up. The balloon actually pushes the plaque on the vessel walls, which then opens up the artery. Most people nowadays get stents, no matter, you have some people that just have plastic. When you get a report and they say the patient just had plastic, that's all they did was open the balloon. But most people get a stent put inside of there, mainly because it's more money for the hospital. Yes, on tape, yes, true. Okay. Cardiac cath probably costs you about $15,000, $17,000. Stent is $7,000. So every procedure is about $25,000, $30,000 for a patient, because you got to spend time in the cath lab and all that. You charge you every 15 minutes for that. So that's why every hospital wants to do heart, because that's where the money is, and there's no shortage of patients. Okay, they're everywhere, kind of thing. So that's why people want to start heart programs everywhere. Because money, hand over fist. People out there all the time falling out, so they come in first. All right. So this is the first thing they're going to go through. So that's the diagnosis that yes, you have coronary artery disease. You may have had some type of treatment before. And so now we send you home on medication, diet modification, that kind of thing. So when a patient goes home, anytime you come in with this, you go home on the Holy Trilogy. You're going to go home on aspirin, which is antiplatelet drug. If they had a stent, they're going to be on Plavix. Okay, so you have to give them some type of antiplatelet drug. So if I just did a plastic, I'm going to put you on aspirin. If you have a stent, you require Plavix. Okay, so that's that antiplatelet drug. Because this has to do with cholesterol, you're going to go home on a statin. So I have to give a statin drug. Yes, I'm going to try to get you to change your lifestyle and how you eat, but we all know that's the hardest part of it. So that's the patient going to go home on some type of statin drug. Okay, what do you have to do before you put them on that? You know we did lipids when they came in the hospital.
Liver
But we need to do liver function testing because that drug has a big effect on your liver. Okay, so we need to do that before we start treating the patient. The last thing we put them on is a beta blocker. Okay, beta blockers are done because it shows from the 4S study, which is probably the first long-term study we looked at for making sure that patients live longer after MI. That's how we got the very first statin drug, that was Zocor, simvastatin. So that's what the 4S study showed us, that if we put patients on a beta blocker, an antiplatelet drug, and a statin drug, that you saw patients live longer post-MI or post-cardiac event. So that's why I call it the Holy Trilogy. Those three things your patients are going to be on. All right, so once we do that, that's that unstable angina patient. Okay. So now they come to us. Now they're living their life, doing their thing. Okay. Now we say, well, they've been doing great for years and years and years, and now all of a sudden they start having chest pain again. And so, but they've been on a stable course, and they only get chest pain when they do certain things. So stable angina has a predictable pattern that goes along with it. That's what makes it different. Unstable angina, the first time it happens, or it can be if a person who had stable angina for a very long time now has to change in how their chest pain occurs. But you're concerned about a patient who has stable angina. So now your person has the same thing that produces pain all the time. So the major course, or the major thing that kind of sets it there is that it's predictable. Meaning that the patient knows when it's going to happen, pretty much, because they have the same pattern of chest pain or development of chest pain all the time. They know that when they walk up one flight of stairs that has 10 stairs, when they get to the 11th stair, they're going to have chest pain. And it happens every single time they get to step number 11. You have a person who may be sweeping their house, and they know that they can sweep the front room, and by the time they get to the kitchen, they're going to have chest pain, and they know it every single time. So there is a predictable pattern that goes along with this person's chest pain. The EKG changes that we saw in unstable angina are the same. But it's just the fact that now this person's been diagnosed. That's what makes it different, is that we have a diagnosis of coronary artery disease because, yes, it's been diagnosed. And we also know that there's a predictable pattern that happens with your chest pain. So that's a stable angina patient. So what we try to do is keep them on that stable course. We don't want you getting worse. We just want you to get better. So we're going to do those lifestyle modifications with the patient. But a lot of this is medication management. So they go on long-term management of their chest pain. So this is a person that may go on a long-term nitrate. Instead of nitroglycerin, which is short-term, you give them every 5 minutes times 3. This is the person that can go on the nitroglycerin patches that are for 24 hours. This is the person that may be on Isodor or Imdor. Those are nitrates that you can take by mouth, kind of thing. Okay, so still going to be nitrates with it. But we just manage it differently. So these are more long-term ones that you're going to be giving this patient all the time. The longest one that you see orally is Imdor. Isodil is the one that you can see patients get, but they usually get that one dosed 3 times a day. Okay, but it does last longer than the nitroglycerin sublingual that you're going to give for short-term chest pain kind of thing. Okay. Isodil is isosorbide dinitrate kind of thing. It's the generic name for it. But these are things that are going to give long-term management of chest pain associated with patients who have stable angina. You may also see the patient on calcium channel blockers. Because they also manage long-term chest pain that you can see with patients. So this one becomes, I'm going to do things that are going to decrease your risk factors. So that's going to be diet modification, exercise, those types of things are still going to happen. But I'm going to put you on medications to give you long-term kind of management of things. And they still go home on the Holy Trilogy too. So they're still on antiplatelet drug, could maybe aspirin or maybe Plavix, depending on if they had a stent placement before. They're going to be on the statin drug, okay, and they're going to be on a beta blocker. All those things happen, same kind of stuff, okay? But it's just that now I have a person who has chest pain with a predictable pattern. It happens the same all the time. Okay? This person still, during the active episodes that now they're presenting with chest pain, they still get the sublingual nitro. Okay, so just know, yes, I'm on these drugs, but now when I'm having my chest pain, I need to go sit down and I need to take my nitrates, and hopefully it resolves on the first nitroglycerin. If you have a patient that puts the second nitroglycerin under their tongue, they should be on their way to the hospital. We no longer tell people to wait till the third one. When the second nitro goes under your tongue, you need to activate something and get to the ER. Because we don't know if there's a progression or now you're becoming unstable in your angina, that kind of thing. So we need that person to make it to the hospital. Okay? But that's the thing about them, is that they're going to have a predictable pattern associated with their chest pain. All because of coronary stuff. You know, that's the issue that you have. That's what produces a chest pain. And part of what you think about when you think about patients with chest pain can be very different based on men versus women. Some people say, oh, I feel a pressure. You'll say how some people will never tell you they have chest pain. They'll tell you it feels like pressure in my chest, or it feels like I can't catch my breath. So just remember, people can describe it differently. Okay, but you're going to see, you know, a lot of times you'll see it. And those people that you worry about that actually can be having big old heart attacks and never complain are diabetics. And because of the nature of the drug, if a person is taking a beta blocker, they don't feel it. So they can be having a big old heart attack, and you're looking at them like, are you okay? And they're like, no, I'm fine. Sweating like a pig. All right, because diaphoresis, that kind of stuff, blood pressure dropping, those are things that a patient who cannot tell you they see, they feel that, they don't know. You can see it on an EKG strip. You can feel it because they're diaphoretic, cooling, claiming that kind of stuff, but they're telling you they're fine. So a person who takes beta blockers and a really poorly controlled diabetic are going to be your risk factor people for having a heart attack and not being able to tell you anything. And that's mainly because they don't feel it. It's neuropathy in the patient who has diabetes that's causing the problem. It's medication in patients who take beta blockers. So if you have a diabetic who's taking a beta blocker, oh my God, you got issues. Right? They could be having a big one and never see anything. But there is a predictable pattern that's going on with that. That's what makes stable angina different. The EKG changes are the same. ST depression, T-wave inversion, because that tells you ischemia. But it's just that this person has been diagnosed. So we know that they have an onset of the, we've seen them because they presented before. But every time you see a first presentation of chest pain, it's unstable angina. Now if this person changed, because remember I gave you the example that they got to the 11th step and they always had chest pain. If you got a person that's now doing it at 4, or you have a person that can't sweep the kitchen anymore, that's considered unstable angina again, because it changed the pattern. There's no longer predictability that goes along with it. I can be doing something less activity than I did before, or I can even be at rest, which I wasn't doing before. So those are things that first time they're admitted to the hospital, and then if there's a change in the pattern, that's considered unstable angina. But what we want to do is try to reverse the issues that are happening because of that. And we really, the big thing that you can do as far as kind of reversing the process is getting your HDL up really high. And then controlling all your other risk factors. And those, the patient teaching kind of goes into that. Now, one of the things that ends up happening for these patients, of course, unfortunately, is that the other thing that tends to happen after they have a heart attack, or some other things going on, a heart attack mainly, or poorly controlled hypertension. Okay, so you have a person who has an MI, or that AMI is acute MI. They had a heart attack. So when you have a heart attack, your muscle is being affected, meaning that it's going to be ischemic. Blood flow's not going there really great. What ends up happening to the person, of course, is the muscle doesn't work like it's supposed to. Okay, so the contractile force of the heart may be affected. The other thing you see is poorly controlled hypertension.